I'm Arsha Vahabzadeh, and I'm a resident physician at the Massachusetts General Hospital and Harvard Medical School. Today, what I want to do is to talk to you a little bit about the wandering and running away behaviors seen in autism. This is a behavior that really requires further research and resources for the community. And I'm going to tell you why I'm talking about this today. The first thing is that it's very common. The second is that it's very dangerous. And the third and most important point is that we can actually do something about it as a community. So let me go back to my first point, which is that these wandering behaviors that we see in many children who have autism are very common. In my own practice, I've noticed very frequently families mention that their child, sometimes their adolescents or their young adult, may be running away, eloping, or wandering off, which can be very dangerous. In fact, a line of research shows that in up to 50% of children in early childhood have already demonstrated some of the symptoms of kind of running away and wandering behavior. That was my first point. So we know that it's very common, but we also know that it's very dangerous. When children wander and run away, they often don't recognize safety cues and social cues, how to interact with people and how to be safe. And this is particularly apparent in children and adolescents who have autism. One of the things we also tragically hear about quite often in the news is when a child or an adolescent with autism runs away to rather unforeseen circumstances and consequences. And we know that they're often attracted to, for example, bodies of water or vehicles, in which case, near drowning and near accidents with automobiles are often reported by their parents. So I mentioned it's common, I mentioned it's dangerous. At the start, I also mentioned there's things that we can try and do as healthcare providers, as parents, as caregivers, and as a community to try and reduce this risk, prevent, reduce, and keep our children safe. So I've come up with an acronym. The acronym is WISE, W-I-S-E, WISE to wandering. And what I mean by that, if we look at the W, water and wheels, so the wheels of automobiles, these are important things that we need to make sure our children are protected from. A child can drown in as little as a few inches of water, and things like ornamental ponds, swimming pools, lakes, these are all things that we know that children with autism are sometimes attracted towards with tragic consequences. So we need to be aware of those key things. So that's the W. The I is identification. Many families have commented to me that they've often tried to put a bracelet, for example, on their child, tried to put particular ID kind of tags on the child's clothing with the child's name, address, parents' contact number. So it's actually very important to be able to identify the child should they go missing. Some parents have even used GPS tracking devices, perhaps as an app or actually on the child or in a backpack, just to be able to really have that peace of mind should their child wander off or run away again. So I mentioned a little bit about the W, the water and wheels, the I, the identification, and S. The S in Y stands for sharing. Make sure that people in the community, you have opportunity to share the information that your child's at risk with your neighbors, with the school, perhaps the local police. Make sure there's some kind of protocol. If someone sees your child unattended, without an adult, acting differently, and they know in that circumstance that something is wrong. We know that autism for some people is a hidden disability. You can't necessarily tell a child is autistic from just looking at them for a brief moment. So allowing people to appreciate that your child is at risk and having a protocol in place is often very helpful. So the S is for sharing that information. And finally, we have E. E is about the environment where you stay, you live, your community. We know that the most common place that children with autism run away from or wander away from is the home, whether it's their own or a family member's. So it's important in your home that you identify, for example, there's appropriate locks on the doors, there's an alarm should you be concerned about a child going into a particular area or running away from the house or wandering away from a particular area. Making sure that there's adequate fencing, whether that's in the back garden, for example, in the yard, or around pools, relates back to what we talked about, water being dangerous. So really being aware of your home environment and taking measures to prevent the wandering or running away behavior happening in the first place. So that's my acronym, WISE, W-I-S-E, Water and Wheels, Identification, Sharing and Environment. And I hope that's something that we can all use to keep our children with autism safe. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you.